This is a Culture Inject production. The Nevers Podcast presents In Conversation With.
Welcome back to In Conversation With, presented by the Nevers Podcast. I'm Laura, and today I'll be speaking with actress Domenique Fragale. Domenique is an actor from Lincolnshire, England. She trained at the Arts Educational Schools, London, with BA Honours in acting. Domenique has roles in the 2009 short Wednesday's Child, Knights of the Damned, and Married with Secrets. She also appears in the 2018 biography drama The Maestro and 2019's comedy My Best Friend's Famous. Domenique can currently be seen in The Nevers as Beth Cassini, the unfortunate shop assistant who finds herself on the wrong side of a scalpel. In addition to acting, Domenique dedicates her time to volunteering as an ambassador for the Princess Diana Award Against Bullying and raising money for the Leukemia Foundation. Welcome to the show, Domenique, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So I guess we'll start by asking, was acting something that you were always interested in pursuing?
Yeah, from as far back as I can remember, I just love telling stories. And that's the thing that I enjoy most about my job, is that I can tell so many different stories. Yeah, I just love reading as a kid as well. Like I always was reading all the time, and I got picked on a lot for that. Like people used to call me a geek all the time and a bookworm, but I'm the biggest advocate for reading. I think it's great if people, especially kids, have a passion for reading. Yeah, and then I did drama outside of school, went to theatre classes as a child, and I was very discouraged to take acting as a serious career, though, by teachers growing up. I remember sitting down in one of my head teacher's office once, and they were like, I think you should change your choice of what you want to do. And I was just this kid who was like, nope, not listening to you. And I know what I want to do. And I know it's one of the hardest career paths there is. I know a lot of them are, but it's because there's no really stability to begin with and a lot of rejection. But I just wanted it so bad. And I was involved with a anti-bullying and gun crime awareness film when I was 13, that shot in my local area of Lincolnshire. And I was bullied quite a lot growing up because of how I looked, of like me being into reading and everything. And as soon as this opportunity came up for me to be in this film, I took it straight away. And from then I was nominated for the Diana Award, which is a charity set up in memory of Princess Diana and the belief that young people can change the world into something really positive. And I won the award when I was 13, and I've become an ambassador and advocate for them ever since, giving public speeches at schools and businesses about the importance of anti-bullying and online awareness and body image, positive body image. So yeah, I think going with acting, I want to be able to use that as a platform as well to highlight really important causes I care about.
Wow.
That was probably a very long answer for you, but
no, you've done. It's just nice to see, like you say, how you've done so much through acting. And I think that's one of the things that especially teachers and maybe parents don't always get, is that even if acting is your passion, if you go down that route, there's so much you can learn that it can lead to such a multitude of jobs. But I think, people just think you want to be famous or you want to do this, whatever, but there's so much that you can do within the realm of acting.
Yeah, no, there's so much. I mean, it makes you, I really think people should go for like acting classes, or, ask around actors and what, you can learn from that career, because we go through a lot. There's a lot of rejection, which makes you stronger, and you learn to understand that throughout your life, you come across rejection every single way, like socially, career-wise, everything. So it makes you a stronger person and have that confidence, just keep going. Yeah.
So I think we kind of covered this just now, but how did you get your start in acting? So you always felt like storytelling, that's something that you wanted to do? Was it that first short film that was like, this is it kind of thing?
Yeah. I mean, 13 is such a young age, but I remember being on the set there and thinking, taking it very professionally, just being like, this is what I want to do. This is my dream. I've got to put the work in. And I even remember having the audition for the Nevers. My mum helped me a lot, like running the lines and being patient with me. And she said to me, she was like, oh, that's a lot. This is a lot of work, because I had to translate. I'm sure we'll get into it, but I had to translate the sides into Italian and English, and then do both of them with the accent on top. And my mum was like, oh, this is a lot of work. And I was like, yeah, but it's a job. Like it's a job to me. I've got to put the work in. And that's how I approach like every audition, really. Do
you remember what your first major acting job was? Was it on stage or television, or what would you deem like your first big thing?
Yeah, I think it was stage for The Winter's Tale by Shakespeare in Stamford with the Stamford Shakespeare Company. It was an open air theatre. I was 15, 16. Yeah, and I love stage, and I love Shakespeare. I love Greek mythology. I just think it's something that people kind of overlook. They tend to think it can be boring. But like, again, I said, I'm such a geek. So that was definitely my first experience of, being in front of a lot of people. And I don't really take it in. It doesn't really worry me that there are a lot of people out there. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, how do you do that? How do you get up and film? Or how do you get up and perform in front of people? It's not me. It's me, but I'm as a character. So I don't mind performing in front of thousands, because it's not actually me. Whereas if sometimes I have like a one-on-one interview, I get weirded out. I'm like, no, I don't like talking about myself, and I don't like watching myself. I find it very odd, because I guess it's like vulnerable state, isn't it? But yeah, when people talk about me, about my work, I'm like, oh, this is weird.
So talking of things that might make you vulnerable or kind of out of your depths, you moved from London to Los Angeles when you were 21. What was that like?
Yeah, I did. I moved there, because I had the opportunity for a couple of TV shows, because I've got an American passport as well. It makes it a little bit easier to work out there. I didn't know anyone. My cousin was out there, but he is in TV as well. But he works in more reality television. So I didn't really know anyone. I moved out there, took a chance, and lived with a wonderful girl called Callie. She is a little bit older, and she opened up my eyes really and helped me. And she was a really big support system, because LA can be such a lonely place. It taught me a lot about myself, what I will stand for, what I won't stand for. And it really opened up my eyes to the industry as well. I always encourage everyone to go to LA. I think LA seems a lot of people, it's the be all and end all of the world. That's where a lot of TV and films are made. But because there's so many other places now in the world that are up and coming, you don't even have to be in a huge city to make great material either. You could just get an iPhone and shoot something with your friends if you really want to. And it could lead to a lot more paths as well, instead of just going to LA, the be all and end all of Hollywood, so.
And then what was it like being cast in a high profile show like The Nevers on a major network like HBO?
Yeah, it didn't really sink in. When I did the audition, I got a call from my agent, and he said, Nina Gold's office want to bring you in for this character. And I was like, oh God, because I know, Nina Gold's office is like huge. And I was like, oh dear Lord. And they're like, oh, just one thing, like it's, the character's Italian. I was like, oh God, adding another level. I was just, I don't really remember being nervous. I was excited. I just, like I said earlier, I just tried it as a job. And then I just forgot about it after I had the second audition. I remember they said, oh, we're going to send your tapes to the team with the Nevers, and they'll make the decision if they want to bring you in anymore or not. And I was like, okay, I have to forget about it now, because it's you just have to forget about these things. And then about a few days later, I got the call from my agent saying, oh, you've been cast. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, you've been cast. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I didn't, but the thing is, I think a lot of the cast have said they didn't really know a lot about it. So we didn't know how big it was going to be, I was just so excited. I was so excited. I remember my first day, January 16th, we shot the very first opening of episode 2. So where Beth and Rosa walk into the store, and Angela, the actress who plays Rosa, me and her were just like inseparable, because it was just so overwhelming how many people. The crew there are phenomenal. The crew on the Nevers are phenomenal, and there's so many people involved. Like there's hundreds of people, but everyone's going to their right job, their right path, and no one gets in the way of each other. It's just it's remarkable to see. Yeah, it was just honestly, there was just no words to describe how excited we were, and just taking everything in. And the sets are beautiful, like the costume, the props, everything is so fine detailed. Like I was looking at some of the props whilst I was waiting for my scenes, and like all the perfumes had names on, like descriptions, and it's just there's a lot of work that goes into it that hopefully everyone enjoyed.
Yeah, I think definitely a lot of people could find it easy to overlook just how much detail goes into productions like this. Yeah, but I bet that was interesting, to be there and being able to see it all up close. I think you've already touched on this already a little bit. You said that you was like rehearsing the accent and everything with your mum, but how did you prepare for your role in the Nevers?
Well, my I'm Italian. My father's side are Italian, and so I spoke to my dad a lot. I spoke to my cousins a lot who were living in Italy. We're from Calabria originally, and I just went over it and over it and over it. And I think what's very rare for me was that this opportunity to play Beth was quite close to my heart, because Beth, she comes from Italy. She's an immigrant. She feels lost. No one's really taking her in. She's experienced a lot of hatred, A, because she's an immigrant, and B, she's part of the touch. But my grandparents were immigrants to England, and they experienced a lot of hatred and just looked down upon because they were lower class compared to the English at the time. So I spoke to my grandma, and I spoke to my nonna. My grandfather unfortunately passed away just a few months before, but I spoke to my nonna about it and her experiences. So I feel like I got a very rare insight into that world almost. And I remember speaking to the team that they said that Beth was not really supposed to be like I was given Beth, but in their minds originally I was not the perfect Beth. She was not meant to really look like me, but they said that there was like a strongness in me that came across in the audition, which is quite funny because Beth, you think she's quite weak really, but apparently there was something in her that I really like that fact that there's something in Beth that you think she's weak, you think she's looked down upon, but there's actually something in her that is wanting to show more.
That's really nice that you share a really close connection. And also that, like you said, the casting directors or whoever weren't necessarily looking for that, but they found something in you. So that's really nice to know that, you brought something that nobody else brought to the table. Were there any particular challenges? I think you've gone quite into depth there already, but was there any particular challenges in playing Beth Cassini?
She's quite opposite to me in a way that I'm quite outspoken. If someone's very rude to me, I'm not rude. I'm not a rude person. I promise you, I'm really not rude. But if someone yelled at me and was like, go back to Italy or something, I'd be like, excuse me. That's me normally. Whereas Beth is she keeps to herself. She's quiet. And I wanted to be the cheeky, I wanted to laugh and giggle more with Rosa. And I wanted to have that little, show more of that. But with Beth, she's got the secret. And at the end of the day, that's something you have to respect as playing a character. You're not you just have to bring aspects of you to a character. So I think that was the biggest thing. It's just to remember that there's something way above you that you have to remember, that women didn't have as much freedom back then, I guess I've touched on immigrants didn't have that much freedom. The touch didn't have as much freedom. So you've got like all these layers on top of you to remember and respect that time, because it's not modern day. You just have to remember that you're years ago.
Switching gears just a little bit. So you mentioned that you volunteer efforts as an ambassador for the Diana Award against bullying and also MQ mental health organisations. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? You know, when did you start working with these charities and why they're so important to you?
Yeah. So when I got back from LA, it was 2018, I believe. I befriended another actress out there, and it's very rare to find genuine connections with people, especially in the industry out there, because it's so fast paced. And I met this wonderful actress and we became really good friends. And after a couple of months, I didn't hear from her anymore. And it was really rare not to hear from her. I found out actually through the airing of the film we were working on, the Maestro, that she passed away. She decided to take her life because she was struggling with mental health issues. And I had no idea. It turns out a lot of people didn't have any idea about that. So I got back to England and I just realized I wanted to understand more. I wanted to understand individuals who were struggling with inner thoughts that they didn't express to people a lot. And I found MQ Mental Health, who they're a mental health charity, but what makes them extremely different is that they're researching into mental health. They're looking into aspects about it that we probably would overlook and trying to, hopefully maybe one day prevent any mental health issues. And I really like that ethos. So I reached out to them, said my story, they tell me about them, and we just clicked and hit it off. And I think that's why I just knew I wanted to work with them. And the Diana Award has grown from strength to strength, and they have a 24-hour helpline now, not just for young people. If you just feel like you need help, you can text them and someone will be there to help you. And my biggest how I like to say to people is that you're never a burden to anyone. And I think a lot of people feel like they are a burden if they express fears or show a weaker side, and no one's weak. It's just you're actually very strong to express if you're struggling. And I think not a lot of people do that. I mean, it's getting better, but it still can go more. It could go further. So you're never a burden to anyone. Always express how you feel to someone you trust, loved ones, friends, family, teachers, parents, or even an anonymous helpline, because there's always someone there to help. And I think that's the biggest thing I want to make sure people take on board, really.
So would you say in terms of where people can find out like more about these organizations?
They can Google the Diana Award. There's always someone, there's a email, there's the helpline number. And you can also email, we'll get in touch with MQ Mental Health. They can direct you they can put you in the right direction as well. But I'm sure there's many more. There's Mind as well. But they're the ones I've worked with the most.
I'm sorry to hear about your friend. That's quite an issue in itself, of that mental health for the people that are suffering for a plethora of reasons. Mm-hmm. Obviously for people such as yourself that have gone through something like that with someone they know who's suffered with mental health is, I guess, important for them to know that they have people to reach out to as well.
Yeah, of course. It is. It's really unfortunate it happened, but what did happen is kind of spurred me on more to help more individuals, which I know she would want. So, I'm trying to do as much as I can with the people I can. And it goes back to why I wanted to do acting. I wanted to be able to use this voice to be able to help other people.
Fantastic. It's nice to hear that you're doing so much as well. You're so young as well, so it's
I don't know.
So in 2019 you were awarded the title of Deputy Miss England in the Miss World organisation. Yes. You said that you never thought that you would have ever entered a pageant. So what decided you to enter Miss World?
I think it's, again, what I stood for. really. I never thought about entering a pageant, and I was definitely one of those people, I'll admit it, that just thought, just girls walking around in heels. Honestly, I did think that, and I think a lot of people think that, but I experienced the bullying. I experienced just a lot of different aspects in my past, and I did some research. One of my friends actually said to me, "Look, you should look into this," and I was like, "Oh, I really don't want to." She was like, "Just please look into it. It might be something you are interested, because they've changed a lot of things about it." So I was like, "All right, fine." So I looked into it, and they got rid of the bikini round. There was a lot more work on what you have to say as an individual instead of how you look, and I really love that. And if there was still the bikini round in it, I wouldn't have entered, because I don't like that. I looked into it, and I realized there was a lot more work that goes into it than you actually think. And honestly, it was one of the most stressful things I've ever done in my life. I used the platform because I was able to talk a lot about why I was passionate about and what I wanted to do with my life. I spoke about the Darren Award. I spoke about MQ mental health. I spoke about the importance of educating young people. And I spoke about leukemia care charities, because my father was diagnosed with leukemia when I was very young, and he was only given a few years to live. But because of the great efforts of Nottingham City Hospital, the nurses, the doctors, the medical staff, he was offered a trial drug, and it successfully worked with his body. So he's well today. I'm seeing him later. I understand, though, that not a lot of people have been as fortunate. So that's why my family and I continue to raise money for leukemia charities, because we want to help those who haven't been as fortunate, and we want to be able to contribute to something.
So just another platform for you to spread.
Just
all
keep
your
adding them
goodness.
on. I love adding platforms.
Well, here's another one. I'm hoping that all of this will all be very valuable to all of our listeners. Another endeavour of yours. So you're an executive producer of DBK Studios. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I'm not laughing at that. I'm just laughing at the platforms thing, because I've just realised. Yeah, I honestly, I always say this. I wish there was like 100 me's that I could just go and like set free, and they just do everything. So I became good friends with Kobe Adam, who is a director and writer, fantastic director and writer. He wrote and directed a short called Haircut, and he's also just directed one of the latest episodes of Top Boy, and he's out in Cape Town at the minute directing the next season of Noughts and Crosses for the BBC. We became very close friends, and he became kind of like a mentor to me, because I do hope to go into directing as well one day. And he had this idea for a production company that is celebrating and highlighting the efforts of young minority individuals who have stories to say but haven't been represented or haven't had the opportunity to show their talents. And I love that. I loved that idea, that aspect. So I was just like, no, I have to be involved. Please, like, let me be involved. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. Because I am very organized. I'm like, it's quite scary how much I love a folder and love notes. I do love a folder. And so I became involved with DBK Studios, and we're working with Sky at the minute, who we're collaborating together to produce 5 short films with 5 incredible writers and upcoming talent, who are all telling personal stories that no one else could really tell apart from them. They're all from unrepresented backgrounds, and it's going to be, we're hoping to release it in time for Black History Month on Sky Arts. And it's just incredible for me, because I was part of this group that started, it's rare for a woman to have the opportunity to make so many decisions and be involved with film like in that way. And I love the fact that Kobe gave me that opportunity, but I also made sure that we brought on a lot of female talent as well. And there's a lot of females now in the crew, in the cast, the talent themselves. It's 4 out of 4 are women, one's a guy. And I'm so proud to be able to share what we're doing with so many strong, talented women who are making a difference, really. And I think that's the thing with the Nevers as well, that I love that there's so many, it's very female influenced as well. There's female writers, female producers, female showrunner now. It's exciting.
It is exciting. It's very good to see. And as we're circling back to the Nevers, do you have any fond memories of filming on the show? You mentioned earlier that your co-star, that you became very close friends, but what other fond memories do you have?
Beth's little outfit is, I always find it very funny. I love a little bow. I don't know where that bow's gone. I actually really want the bow. Yeah, and everyone kept saying, "Oh, you know, you look so cute in it," and I'm like, "I don't want to look cute." That looks adorable. But I love getting, like, I love the whole dirt scene, like getting dirty, being in the Galanthi and the caves, and working with Dennis. I have been such an admirer of Dennis's work for years. So when I found out I was working with him, I was just like, "This is amazing. This is a dream come true," because I genuinely have always said I want to work with him one day. And he is such a talented actor and a generous actor as well. And it's just rare to be able to walk on set and get along with everyone. Everyone is there because they love the project. Everyone is there because they care about this, they believe in it. And I think that's something really special. But one of my favorite things is either definitely working with Dennis, but being able to be like dirty and not really care what you look like. I love that. I love it when I can get a character and just be like, I don't care. I don't really look, you know, that great right now, but that's fine. Yeah, because I've never played anything like that. And obviously the fact that Beth has a power is very cool. Yeah, and a lot of people have said that's one of their favorite powers, which I'm like, that's great. I will take that. So yeah,
it's pretty cool power. I mean, you made a big bear float. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I know, that bear's still on set. Like, I feel like if I say, "Can I have the bear?" that's kind of pushing it. So maybe we'll see.
I think I saw a video actually online of you being dirty up. Yeah, I think I saw you post that. Yeah. Yeah. So it took a while, did it?
It does. It really does. Like, Christine and her team worked magic. But yeah, I'm also not wearing a corset in those scenes, whereas every other scenes I've been wearing corset, and all the other lovely ladies, they're wearing corsets. So it's quite nice to be able to like breathe and like have lunch and just like, it's fine, I won't feel anything.
You just like don't tell anyone. Everyone's like, "Oh, I'm so uncomfortable in my corset," and you're just like,
"Oh, I know.
I won't mention that I feel totally fine."
I know, I'm so open, it's fine.
So as of this recording, the last time we saw Beth was in her zombie-like state after being experimented on by Dr. Haig. We've seen in the 5th episode, we see briefly that you've still got your powers, and then in the last episode helping Amalia escape. So are there any plans for your character to pop back up? I mean, we're completely in the dark as it stands with like anything that's happening past this point. And you're probably, if there is plans for you to pop back up, you're probably not allowed to say anything, but
you'll see. You'll see. I can't say much, but yeah, poor Beth. I know, bless her. She hasn't really had the opportunity to show her full extent of her powers yet, I think. But you will see. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting because obviously like the chances of you being able to still use the powers after being experimented on and everything, it will be very cool to see, you know.
Yeah,
superhero Beth.
Superhero Beth, give her a chance. I know. Yeah, her powers are definitely, well, as you've seen, her powers are definitely coming back to her. I think it was like the 3rd or 4th, I think the 4th episode, you could see the Galanthi was starting to break almost, and you could see that people were getting affected by it. So Beth was definitely getting affected by it. Yeah, and the fact that she'll be able to help Amalia was a huge thing. And I think a lot of people just thought Beth was a write-off, actually, after the 2nd episode. I mean, I did it first as well. But yeah, she keeps popping up. she keeps coming. So yeah. I don't think you should really overlook her. Not yet.
So we already interviewed George Dawson, who plays Dr. Haig's assistant on the show. He shared that he had some great chats with Dennis while on set. Your character doesn't spend that much time with Dr. Haig, but how was it working with Dennis? You've already mentioned that he was amazing, basically. George
and Dennis were great. George was a lot of fun to be around. Dennis, he has this, he's very, when he's on set, he's in his character, he's concentrating. And it's always interesting to see people's methods, how they get into the character, how they're, making sure they're around their surroundings. He listens. He wants to make sure that he delivers the performance that the director is after. And when you have someone like that who you're working with, you want to do just as well. So I think that energy you have that energy that bounces off each other. It really is as basic as just listening and reacting. And I know that's like the most basic term in the acting classes, listening and reacting. But it's like anything. If you're in like real life, you just have to listen and react. Yeah, George, Angela, and Dennis, who I work with the most. Great people who have like great energies to bring to the scene and really contribute to it.
So we've got a question now. One of our listeners has a question for you. It's from Berza, who asks, considering the fate of your character, do you see the Galanthi as a liberator and ally to the downtrodden, or is it irresponsible in the way it marks people for persecution? Because obviously,
right,
we're in this, and in the podcast as well, we're kind of in this thing of, are the Galanthi really helping, or have they got ulterior motives? For me, I think they're helping, and this is the only way at the minute they know how, is to give people some superpowers. But it has unfortunately obviously marked them, and they're being persecuted by society. So
yeah, I definitely believe it's that thing of the human race getting involved with things of nature that they then react to. It's like if you try to control an animal, you try to control a human, they're going to backlash about it. Of course they will. And learning more about the Galanthi, I feel like they're there to help. They are there to help the human race. But again, as humans, we have that idea, that mentality that we are the be all and end all, and we know what's best for us. And sometimes we do, but we tend to screw up things as well. We have done, just have a look at our environment, have a look at our earth right now. There's so much more things we could be doing to help her. And this is exactly the thing with the Galanthi. It's a rare thing that's happened to give us that opportunity to be able to live better. Whereas we're like, no, we're going to ruin it. We don't understand it. We're not taking the time to understand it. And the individuals who have become victims of those people who want to study the Galanthi and study what they are and taint them almost, it's just, they've just become victims of that. It's not victims of the Galanthi. It's become victims of people thinking they know what's better for everyone else. And that's what's happened to Beth. That's what's happened to all the other individuals down there. And even Dr. Haig, he's someone who wants to understand. He's trying to understand, but it's that ignorance that's come with it, because no one can really be an evil person. There's just something in them that they believe is the best thing for them. So no, I don't think, I wouldn't blame the Galanthi for what's happened. I would definitely want it to still happen if there was an opportunity to help the human race. It's just unfortunate that people have become victims to it, to what's happening around with it. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Beza, for your question. I hope that answered it nicely for you. So is there anything in particular that you've taken away from your time working on the Nevers that you will take forward into your future jobs?
That's a really good question. Enjoy it. Really enjoy the job, I think, as well, because like I said before, I see it as a job. I see, everyone does, ask any cast member and they'll say it's a job, but there's that it's so easy to not enjoy what you're doing. And with acting roles, you go on to the next one, you go on to the next one, hopefully. But you just have to enjoy it more as well, because it's rare that we get the opportunity to call this our job, that we get to work with people who have become like family, in some cases. And it's a rare thing that we can say this is our job, this is what we do, and to love it. So I think I'm definitely going to try and enjoy each job more, I'm trying just being in the moment instead of like trying to think of what's happening more in the future.
This next question, you've already said that you think that Beth, and that a lot of people say that Beth has a great power, but so we've been asking everyone this that we're interviewing, so what ability or power would you want if you were one of the touched?
Okay, and I won't, barring Beth's power,
and this can be anything off the top of your head. It doesn't have to be what one of the characters in the show has. Just you could have any power.
Oh my goodness, that is, oh gosh. You know what? I would love maybe to talk to animals. I'm such a huge animal lover. I really am. Or people, I feel like a lot of people would say, oh, to see the future, but I feel like that's a lot of responsibility. It really is. And I wouldn't want to read people's minds, because you just never know. And I don't want that. You wouldn't know. I feel like I would love to talk to animals, or be able to jump places, picture somewhere and be there. I would love to do that. That would be very cool. Maybe somewhere hot would be great. But just to be able to like maybe help me in my real life, just to be able to be places quicker, that would be great.
Take out all that transportation time.
Yes, a lot.
So talking of the future, where do you see yourself in the future, and like for yourself and for your career, obviously?
I mean, I'd love to just keep on working on stories that I really enjoy, that people are enjoying. I want to be able to tell my own stories, and be able to show them to the world. I'm working with the BBC right now as a evening radio presenter, so to be able to have all my bows on my arrow, I guess you could say, all really come together and be able to tell stories that I really believe in and talk more about things I'm passionate about, really. But right now I'm definitely in a job that I love, and so I'm very happy right now to keep being here. That's good. Yeah,
keep forward on all your platforms, all of your
all the platforms.
don't settle for anything less. It's
I love that. Yeah, it's true. It's definitely true.
Keep doing what you're doing, man. It's good. So what can our listeners see you in next? So I think you'll be popping up in the TV series Universe of Gods. Yeah,
that's still post-production, and that's another like superpower esque world, you could say. Potentially got a few other things in the pipeline that I can't really speak about just yet. Maybe when we catch up again I can talk about them more, but definitely working behind the scenes on the short films right now, so they'll be on Sky in a few months. Hopefully you'll see me soon.
Do you find it, obviously it's a big thing in the acting and the filmmaking world, is secrecy.
Mm-hmm.
How do you find that with balancing your life and having these huge exciting moments that you then can't really disclose to anybody? And sometimes like with the Nevers, it's been 2 years almost since the filming started on the first episode, so it's been a long time from it, you working on it to it coming out. How, I guess you seem, like you said, very, very busy, and you wish there was 100 of you, so I'm sure the time just flies by, but how do you find it?
I guess keeping busy helps for sure, but I get really keen to watch like the other scenes. Like I've loved watching the Nevers. When it's not my scene, I'm like, oh God, hide. Whenever I pop up, because I find it really odd to watch me. So that in itself, I've been like really excited for people to be like, oh my God, like the Nevers coming out soon. You're like this about it. You're like this about it, because it's got something for everyone. But I tend to like try not to think about it, I guess. It's like when I come from an audition, I just like try not to think about it, like it's done. And what will be, will be. So yeah, I throw myself into other things, really.
So thank you again for chatting with us today, Domenique.
No, thank you for having me.
So where can people find you online?
Sure. So you can find me on Twitter, which is Domenique X. Yeah, I couldn't just have Domenique, so I had to add the X. Or you can find me on Instagram, Domenique Fragale. Everyone always struggles to spell my name. It's actually the male French version, but I'm not a boy. My parents just decided to give me that unusual way of doing it. So it's Domenique and then Fragale. Yeah, and of course on the Nevers, you can just see me as Beth Cassini running around touching things.
Thank you again, and thank you for our listeners for tuning in. This has been the Nevers Podcast.
This episode of the Nevers Podcast was written, researched, produced, and edited by Matthew at Culture Inject Studios. The intro and outro music was produced by Guilherme Moraes. We are more than just a podcast. We're a fan community. You can keep up to date on the Nevers and chat with other fans by visiting hbothenevers.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search HBO The Nevers, all one word, and click that follow button. The Nevers Podcast is not endorsed by Mutant Enemy, Warner Media Entertainment, or any of its subsidiaries, including Home Box Office, HBO, and is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. The Nevers and all names, pictures, and audio clips are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective copyright holders.